The Art of War. The Art of War is an ancient Chinese military treatise dating from the late Spring and Autumn period, roughly 5th century BC. The work, which is attributed to the ancient Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu, Master Sun, also spelled Sunzi, is composed of 13 chapters. Each one is devoted to an aspect of warfare and how it applies to military strategy and tactics. For almost 1,500 years it was the lead text in an anthology that would be formalized as the 7 military classics by Emperor Shenzong of Song in 1080. The Art of War remains the most influential strategy text in East Asian warfare and has influenced both Eastern and Western military thinking, business tactics, legal strategy, lifestyles and beyond. The book contained a detailed explanation and analysis of the Chinese military, from weapons and strategy to rank and discipline. Sun Tzu also stressed the importance of intelligence operatives and espionage to the war effort. Because Sun Tzu has long been considered to be one of history's finest military tacticians and analysts, his teachings and strategies form the basis of advanced military training for centuries to come. The book was translated into French and published in 1772, republished in 1782, by the French Jesuit Jean-Joseph Marie Amiot. A partial translation into English was attempted by British officer Everard Ferguson Calthrop in 1905 under the title The Book of War. The first annotated English translation was completed and published by Lionel Giles in 1910. Military and political leaders such as the Chinese Communist Revolutionary Mao Zedong, Japanese daimyo Takeda Shingen, Vietnamese General Vo Nguyen Giap, and American military General Norman Schwarzkopf Jr. have drawn inspiration from the book. History. Text and commentaries. The Art of War is traditionally attributed to a military general from the late 6th century BC known as Master Sun, Mandarin, Sunzi, earlier Sun Tzu, though its earliest parts probably date to at least 100 years later. Sima Qian's 1st century BC work records of the Grand Historian, Shiji, the first of China's 24 dynastic histories, records an early Chinese tradition stating that a text on military matters was written by one Sun Wu, from the state of Qi, and that this text had been read and studied by King Helu of Wu, r. 514 to 495 BC. This text was traditionally identified with the received Master Sun's Art of War. The conventional view, which is still widely held in China, was that Sun Wu was a military theorist from the end of the Spring and Autumn period, 776 to 471 BC, who fled his home state of Qi to the southeastern kingdom of Wu, where he is said to have impressed the king with his ability to train even dainty palace ladies in warfare and to have made Wu's armies powerful enough to challenge their western rivals in the state of Chu. The strategist, poet, and warlord Cao Cao in the early 3rd century authored the earliest known commentary to the Art of War. Cao's preface makes clear that he edited the text and removed certain passages, but the extent of his changes were unclear historically. The Art of War appears throughout the bibliographical catalogues of the Chinese dynastic histories, but listings of its divisions and size varied widely. In the early 20th century, the Chinese writer and reformer Liang Qichao theorized that the text was actually written in the 4th century BC by Sunzi's purported descendant Sun Bin, as a number of historical sources mention a military treatise he wrote. Authorship. Around the 12th century, some scholars began to doubt the historical existence of Sunzi, primarily on the grounds that he is not mentioned in the historical classic The Commentary of Zhuo, which mentions most of the notable figures from the Spring and Autumn period. The name Sun Wu, does not appear in any text prior to the records of the Grand Historian, and has been suspected to be a made-up descriptive cognomen meaning the fugitive warrior. The surname Sun is glossed as the related term fugitive, while Wu is the ancient Chinese virtue martial, valiant, Wu, which corresponds to Sunzi's role as the hero's doppelganger in the story of Wu Zixu. Unlike Sun Wu, Sun Bin appears to have been an actual person who was a genuine authority on military matters, and may have been the inspiration for the creation of the historical figure Sunzi through a form of Owimerism. Yingshan tomb discovery. In 1972, The Yixian Han slips were discovered in Han Dynasty, 206 BC to AD 220, tombs near the city of Linyi in Shandong province. Among the many bamboo slip writings contained in the tombs, which had been sealed between 134 and 118 BC, respectively, were two separate texts, one attributed to Sunzi, corresponding to the received text, and another attributed to Sun Bin, which explains and expands upon the earlier The Art of War by Sunzi. The Sun Bin text's material overlaps with much of the Sunzi text, and the two may be a single, continuously developing intellectual tradition united under the Sun name. This discovery shows that much of the historical confusion was due to the fact that there were two texts that could have been referred to as Master Sun's Art of War, not one. The content of the earlier text is about 1/3 of the chapters of the modern The Art of War, and their text matches very closely. It is now generally accepted that the earlier The Art of War was completed sometime between 500 and 430 BC. The 13 chapters. The Art of War is divided into 13 chapters, or Pian. The collection is referred to as being one's Yuan, whole or alternatively chronicle. Quotations. Chinese. Verses from the book occur in modern daily Chinese idioms and phrases, such as the last verse of chapter 3. Semicolon, comma. Hence the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. This has been more tersely interpreted and condensed into the Chinese modern proverb. Ziji zibai, beizan budai. If you know both yourself and your enemy, you can win numerous, literally, 100, battles without jeopardy. English. Common examples can also be found in English use, such as verse 18 in chapter 1. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable; when using our forces, we must appear inactive; when we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away; when far away, we must make him believe we are near. This has been abbreviated to its most basic form and condensed into the English modern proverb. All warfare is based on deception. Cultural influence. Military and intelligence applications. Across East Asia, the art of war was part of the syllabus for potential candidates of military service examinations. During the Sengoku period, circa 1467 to 1568, the Japanese daimyo named Takeda Shinjin, 1521 to 1573, is said to have become almost invincible in all battles without relying on guns, because he studied the art of war. The book even gave him the inspiration for his famous battle standard Furinkazen, wind, forest, fire and mountain, meaning fast as the wind, silent as a forest, ferocious as fire and immovable as a mountain. The translator Samuel B. Griffith offers a chapter on Sun Tzu and Mao Zedong where the art of war is cited as influencing Mao's on guerrilla warfare, on the protracted war and strategic problems of China's Revolutionary War, and includes Mao's quote, "We must not belittle the saying in the book of Sun Tzu, the great military expert of ancient China, know your enemy and know yourself and you can fight 1,000 battles without disaster." During the Vietnam War, some Viet Cong officers extensively studied the art of war and reportedly could recite entire passages from memory. General Vo Nguyen Giap successfully implemented tactics described in the art of war during the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, ending major French involvement in Indochina and leading to the accords which partitioned Vietnam into North and South. General Vo, later the main PVA military commander in the Vietnam War, was an avid student and practitioner of Sun Tzu's ideas. America's defeat there, more than any other event, brought Sun Tzu to the attention of leaders of American military theory. Finnish Field Marshal Mannerheim and General Axel Aro were avid readers of Art of War. They both read it in French. Aro kept the French translation of the book on his bedside table in his quarters. The Department of the Army in the United States, through its Command and General Staff College, lists the Art of War as one example of a book that may be kept at a military unit's library. The Art of War is listed on the Marine Corps Professional Reading Program, formerly known as the Commandant's Reading List. It is recommended reading for all United States military intelligence personnel. According to some authors, the strategy of deception from the art of war was studied and widely used by the KGB. I will force the enemy to take our strength for weakness, and our weakness for strength, and thus will turn his strength into weakness. The book is widely cited by KGB officers in charge of disinformation operations in Vladimir Volkov's novel Le Montage. Application outside the military. The art of war has been applied to many fields well outside of the military. Much of the text is about how to fight wars without actually having to do battle. It gives tips on how to outsmart one's opponent so that physical battle is not necessary. As such, it has found application as a training guide for many competitive endeavors that do not involve actual combat. The art of war is mentioned as an influence in the earliest known Chinese collection of stories about fraud, mostly in the realm of commerce. Zhongyan is the Book of Swindles, Du Pianzhen ca. 1617, which dates to the late Ming Dynasty. Many business books have applied the lessons taken from the book to office politics and corporate business strategy. Many Japanese companies make the book required reading for their key executives. The book is also popular among Western business circles, citing its utilitarian value regarding management practices. Many entrepreneurs and corporate executives have turned to it for inspiration and advice on how to succeed in competitive business situations. The book has also been applied to the field of education. The art of war has been the subject of legal books and legal articles on the trial process, including negotiation tactics and trial strategy. The art of war has also been applied in the world of sports. National Football League coach Bill Belichick is known to have read the book and used its lessons to gain insights in preparing for games. Australian cricket as well as Brazilian Association football coaches Luís Felipe Scolari and Carlos Alberto Pereira are known to have embraced the text. Scolari made the Brazilian World Cup squad of 2002 study the ancient work during their successful campaign. In 2018, English youth soccer coach Liam Shannon launched Sunsu Soccer, a project based on his 2012 book Sunsu Soccer, The Art of War in Soccer Language and Scenarios. The book is a direct translation of the 2003 Lionel Giles Barnes and Noble Classics edition of The Art of War into soccer terminology. In January 2015, Shannon presented his work at the United Soccer Coaches, previously NSCA, National Convention, the world's largest soccer convention, to a full audience. Sunsu Soccer has been endorsed by fellow Sun Tzu author Mark McNeely, who stated, Sunsu Soccer gives coaches and players a time-tested formula for victory on the soccer field. The art of war is often quoted while developing tactics and/or strategy in electronic sports. Particularly, one of the fundamental books about esports, Play to Win by Massachusetts Institute of Technology graduate David Serlin, is actually just an analysis about possible applications of the ideas from the art of war in modern electronic sports. The Art of War was released in 2014 as an ebook companion alongside the Art of War DLC for Europa Universalis 4, a PC strategy game by Paradox Development Studios, with a foreword by Thomas Johansson. Notable translations: Sun Tzu on the Art of War. Translated by Lionel Giles. London, Luzac and Company. 1910. The Art of War. Translated by Samuel B. Griffith. Oxford, Oxford University Press. 1963. ISBN 978-019-500-1476-1. Part of the UNESCO collection of representative works. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Translated by Thomas Cleary. Boston, Shambhala Dragon Editions. 1988. ISBN 978-0877734529. The Art of Warfare. Translated by Roger Ames. Random House. 1993. ISBN 978-0345-36239-1. The Art of War. Translated by John Minford. New York, Viking. 2002. ISBN 978-0670-31566. The Art of War, Sun Tzu's Military Methods. Translated by Victor H. Meyer. New York, Columbia University Press. 2007. ISBN 978-0231-13382-1. The Art of War, Spirituality for Conflict. Translated by Thomas Hine. Skylight Paths Publishing. 2008. ISBN 978-1594732,447. The book has been translated into Assamese by Utpal Datta and published by Assam Sahitya Sabha. The book was translated into Manchu as Wiley, Chahiptabi Jisarang, Mollendorf, Kuibtada Jisarang, Discourse on the Art of War. The first Manchu translations of Chinese works were the Liu Tao, Sushu, and Senlui, all Chinese military texts dedicated to the arts of war due to the Manchu interests in the topic, like Sun Tzu's work The Art of War. The military-related texts which were translated into Manchu from Chinese were translated by Dahai. Manchu translations of Chinese texts included the Ming Penal Code, and military texts were performed by Dahai. These translations were requested of Dahai by Nurhaci. The military text Wu Tzu was translated into Manchu along with Sun Tzu's work The Art of War. Chinese history, Chinese law, and Chinese military theory classical texts were translated into Manchu during the rule of Hong Taiji and Mukden, with Manchus placing significance upon military and governance-related Chinese texts. A Manchu translation was made of the military-themed Chinese novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Chinese literature, military theory and legal texts were translated into Manchu by Dahai and Erdeni. The translations were ordered in 1629. The translation of the military texts Sanwei, Sushu, and the Taming Hui Dian, the Ming Law, done by Dahai was ordered by Nurhaci. While it was mainly administrative and ethical guidance which made up most of Sanwei and Sushu, military science was indeed found in the Liu Tao, and Chinese military manuals were eagerly translated by the Manchus, and the Manchus were also attracted to the military content in Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is why it was translated. Another Manchu translation was made by Anjuro Kaiying. See also Concepts, Philosophy of War, Books. Commentarii de Bello Gallico, Commentaries on the Gallic War, by Julius Caesar. The Art of War by Niccolo Machiavelli. Arthashastra. The Book of Five Rings, Miyamoto Musashi. 7 Military Classics. Dream Pool Essays by Shinku O. Huo Longjing by Yu Bowen. Hagakure by Yamamoto Tsunetomo. Epitome Re Militaries of Publius Flavius Vettius Renatus. Guerrilla Warfare by Che Guevara. On Protracted War by Mao Zedong. On War by Karl von Clausewitz. Records of the Grand Historian. 36 Stratagems. The Utility of Force by General Sir Rupert Smith. 7 Pillars of Wisdom by T. E. Lawrence. Vincent Shukai. Infantry Grift and by Erwin Rommel. History of the Peloponnesian War by Thucydides. References. Citations. Further reading. Golikoski, Christoph, Loewe, Michael, 1993. Sun Tzu Ping Fa. In Loewe, Michael, ed. Early Chinese Texts, A Bibliographical Guide. Berkeley, Society for the Study of Early China, Institute of East Asian Studies, University of California, Berkeley. Pages 446 to 55. ISBN 978-155,729-0434. Graf, David A. 2002. Medieval Chinese Warfare, 300-900. Warfare and History. London, Routledge. ISBN 978-0415239554. Griffith, Samuel, 2005. Sun Tzu, The Illustrated Art of War. New York, Oxford University Press. ISBN 978-0195189995. Lewis, Mark Edward, 1999. Warring States Political History. In Loewe, Michael, Shaughnessy, Edward, eds. The Cambridge History of Ancient China. Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. Pages 587 to 650. ISBN 978-0521-47038. Meyer, Victor H. 2007. The Art of War, Sun Tzu's Military Methods. New York, Columbia University Press. ISBN 978-0231-13382.